Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here from Moss Pawn and Gun. In case you guys don't know, we're an FFL located here in Jonesboro, Georgia. And today we're going to have a little talk about pistol and handgun etiquette, okay? And basically what we're referring to is guns designed to be fired with one hand and the etiquette that involves that, both in safety and also some basic concerns about the designs and things that you shouldn't do, things you should do, and also safety and handling. So we'll kind of get right to it. We're going to start off with the 1911. Many of you guys know the 1911. It's a very iconic and popular handgun. However, there are certain safety and etiquette things that need to be considered about a 1911 in order to make sure that you're not going to damage the firearm. You should avoid slamming the slide and letting it just ride home. You can most certainly damage the barrel link. Also the idiot scratch that's on 1911s, what we call it, in disassembly. Yeah, using the wrong tools for disassembling the gun. You can actually put scratches on the gun. You can mar up the gun in certain areas that you want to certainly make sure you're using the proper tools. You know, really avoiding dry firing. You don't want to crystallize your firing pins on really any firearm. There's just a lot of things like that with handgun etiquette that have to be considered. What do you think?
One thing too with this, I noticed that you actually are guilty of it quite often, but yeah, you know, when you lower the firing pin or the hammer on a 1911, typically you want to use two hands and just drop it like such.
And there's also an interceptor notch you can use on a 1911 if you want. Say that you're lowering the hammer on a 1911, you can just lay your thumb across the back, squeeze the trigger, let go, and the interceptor notch will catch the hammer in the half-cocked position.
Yep, and it's not going to pinch your thumb.
And it won't pinch your thumb. It's designed that way, designed to operate that way. I know a lot of us gun people, we like to just grab it and let it lower. That's probably a bad habit. However, just depends on how experienced you are. And now on experience, we'll talk about that. A lot of folks will come into gun shops or they'll go into various situations where they're dealing with handguns, and they're usually, some people are not trained or they don't understand the design characteristics of each gun, which is why we're kind of showing you. But if you don't know, seek clarification, ask somebody. You know, it's really frustrating when folks go, not only gun stores, but just if you're at the range or you're in a situation where you're shooting with other people, it's really annoying when somebody does something very unsafe with a handgun because they don't know what they're doing.
Well, it's because they're trying to look macho or whatever the case may be. They've got that kind of mentality, and it's like, oh, well, you know, I read a thing online on a forum, and I know everything there is to know about 1911s, and I'm going to go and I'm going to show everybody.
Yeah. And then you end up, doing something dumb. So,
pretty much.
From a safety aspect, always know where the magazine release on any firearm you're handling is located. Know how to open the cylinder on a revolver, how to clear a handgun. I mean, safety obviously is going to be the apex of firearms ownership, whether it is handguns, revolvers, or rifles or anything else. Any firearm, you need to know the operating characteristics of the gun in order to clear it safely and to know what you're doing well enough so you don't hurt yourself or someone else. I mean, that's a given. We're certainly not trying to insult anyone's intelligence by saying that, although this video is geared towards folks that are probably getting into firearms from the get-go.
We have a lot of people who come in and they're first-time gun owners or whatnot, or just shoppers, and they don't really know how to handle firearms at all. And we try to walk them through and at least show them how to handle the firearm properly.
On the 1911, we discussed a few things. This is a Walther P22. Chad, why don't you fill them in on that one?
Well, the P22 is basically a double single-action style pistol. A lot of people are confused on these because the magazine release is actually ambidextrous right here under the trigger guard.
More of a European style.
More of a European style. And the Smith & Wesson SW99 is like that too because the frame is made in Germany, which is kind of an interesting little Easter egg there. But anyways, the gun does have a double single action mode. It will fire like that. And typically you don't want to dry fire the gun too often like that because you can gall the internal surfaces, especially on a rimfire gun, because the firing pin is actually striking the edge of the chamber since it is rimfire. So you definitely don't want to do that. You can gall that chamber edge a little bit, and sometimes that can lead to feeding issues over time.
Yes. It will lead to feeding issues.
So you'll go to fire it one day and you'll get a stuck case. You're like, what the hell, and you start to bang it out, and next thing, there's another stuck case. What's going on? So,
well, in modern technology and modern manufacturing, that problem is not quite as apparent as it used to be. But like, say you have like an old turn of the century, you know, rifle or 22 rimfire rifle or something, if you dry fire that gun, it is most certainly going to, you know, cause issues and burrs in the chamber.
Yeah, the steels are not as robust back in the day as they are nowadays.
Just to make sure you guys know, it is okay to dry fire firearms with the use of snap caps. Now, a lot of people say, well, you can dry fire a gun all you want, it's no big deal. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but if you want to follow it by kind of the rule of the law, or whatever, not law, but kind of the rule of the road when it comes to, you know, doing it 100% proper, just go get yourself some snap caps. They're not expensive. It'll allow you to safely check the function, the feeding, dry firing, everything like that. If you're that concerned about it, get some snap caps and be done with it.
Well, and two, it makes for easy practice at home too.
It does make for easy practice. So we wanted this video to be kind of fun and entertaining, but we also want to show you some new guns. All right, here at Moss, we just got in a bunch of these 41 Gen 4s. It's the new long slide 45. Now, as many of you know, on a Glock pistol, it's a striker fired pistol, which means that it has an internal striker system, no external hammer of any type. All right, a cylindrical striker rides within a slot cut into the slide. The trigger actually pulls back and releases the striker mechanism. It pulls back and then lets go at a certain point, and it basically just allows that striker to strike the firing pin and fire the pistol. It allows the gun to stay very streamlined and low profile, but part of the disassembly process for a Glock pistol is to dry fire it. So there you go.
Well, and you're talking about the safety, the mechanism of the gun.
Right.
You know, a lot of times there's a misconception with Glocks in general because they don't feature an external safety, and that's usually a turnoff for a lot of people.
Right.
Guns like this, striker fire guns, do not typically feature external safeties because the safety mechanism is built into the trigger travel itself.
Yep.
And unless that trigger is pulled, there's nothing going to happen with this
There's
gun.
a firing pin block that a Glock uses that the first stage of the trigger has to be drawn up to push that block out of the way to even allow the striker to go all the way forward. So that's one safety feature. That's part of the drop safety feature that's integrated into the Glock pistol.
Yeah, as Eric was saying, you know, you do have to dry fire the gun to actually disassemble it, drop the magazine, as Eric has done, make sure the gun's unloaded, dry fire the gun, you can pull back slightly, and then the slide assembly comes right off of the frame, and it can be easily disassembled from there. Now, there's a couple of other manufacturers out there that do something slightly different, including well, Smith & Wesson, for example. Let me get this back together here. Oops.
You're having a rookie moment.
I am having a rookie moment because the camera's rolling.
Well, that big, yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, those longer recoil guide rod assemblies can kind of give you issues.
That double recoil assembly is really a booger sometimes.
Let's talk about the Smith, though.
All right, this is the Smith M&P 9. This is a Pro Series that we have here in stock. And basically, this gun is designed around a striker-fired mechanism similar to the Glock, but it does not require dry firing to disassemble. It is optional. You can dry fire it to disassemble, but if you open the gun up and look inside, there's actually a small yellow tab, and then you can pull the tab down with your finger pick or tool or whatever, and then the slide will, the slide will come right off if you have it in the proper orientation.
Right.
So no need to dry fire whatsoever. And then basically when you reassemble the gun, let's see if I can get this one back together. Reassemble the gun.
There you go.
Like that. And flip the tab and take the magazine, push the magazine back in place. The little lever flips back up into the proper position. The gun's ready to operate again.
So you let the slide slam.
I did. That's another rookie moment.
Yeah,
we do that all the time.
If you're going by what we're trying to say, you want to avoid allowing a slide to just slam on a pistol. Now, I know a lot of us are guilty of it. We do it on a regular basis, but you do want to avoid that.
Well, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, you know, we catch ourselves most of the time, but every now and again,
it happens.
It slips.
It happens. You want to really avoid allowing those surfaces to just slam with the full force that the recoil spring allows. You know, those forces are designed to allow the gun to function. It's to allow the gun to strip a round off the magazine into the chamber, and of course that pressure also allows the extractor to overcome the rim of the case to hold on. So all of those forces are you know, basically calibrated to allow the gun to function, not to allow the gun to just slam. So, you know, it's okay to check a gun and, like, say if I just want to drop the mag and then pull the slide stop down and then just pull back and just let it fall forward by relieving the pressure with my hand, that's fine. Like if I do this, that's fine. I'm not allowing it to slam. There's a lot less pressure impacting those metal surfaces. The barrel hood will actually begin to gall against the rear of this slide here. And depending on the metallurgy and the style of gun you have and repeated use, you can cause some odd wear patterns to occur, I'm sure, with time.
Seen a lot of wear patterns on different types of guns, plus
Yeah.
you, every now and again you'll get a little lip there if it's done constantly or the gun's been shot quite a bit.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's just bound to happen over time. Now with revolvers, you know, Eric and Barry did an excellent video. It's one of the first few gun gripes, I believe, about a revolver etiquette.
Sure.
And revolvers are something that people really don't know how to handle whatsoever. And Barry actually taught us a lot about revolver etiquette, you know, when we were just getting into shooting and such. But when you handle a revolver, you open it with your hand. If you're right-handed, you open it with your left hand. You hold the cylinder like such. You close the cylinder with the crane, not with the cylinder. You know, people will spin the cylinder, slam them shut, fling them. It's just not the way to do it. You can damage the crane. You can damage the ejector rod assembly. You can do a lot of things. You know, you can damage the hand that actually powers the cylinder
bolt.
and the bolt. You know, a lot of different things. And these are not good to dry fire either because you can actually damage and gall the bearing surfaces inside the frame. And these guns actually are newer, so they feature the firing. It's actually a transfer bar firing pin setup.
Right.
And forgot to mention though, this is the new Model 69 from Smith & Wesson. So
Right.
this is kind of a cool gun that we've all been eyeballing up here. It's a 5-shot L-frame 44 Magnum.
44 mag.
So,
One thing that Chad didn't mention, maybe he sort of mentioned it, but when you're handling a revolver like this, you want the idea is to have your 2 fingers through the port so that you can use your 3 fingers to control the cylinder. You don't want to do this number where you're trying to hold the gun. I've seen so many people at the range where they'll just leave the cylinder open and they'll just try to do this number and they're trying to put rounds in it. You don't want to do that. For one, you're putting undue stress on the crane against the frame. You want to control that cylinder. You want to make sure you know exactly where it's at. See, if I'm controlling this cylinder and I'm loading it, if I'm in control of the cylinder, I can load it and not even have to look at it. With enough time and experience, I can load this gun without looking at it. And I can fire it and unload it without having to look at it. And if you want to really learn a lot about revolver handling, you need to look at Jerry Michalak, a lot of his competition footage, and check out Jerry Michalak's channel because he's got a lot of great revolver handling tips.
Oh yeah.
And plus just an amazing overall shot in general. So check him out.
Yep. And while we're on the topic
you got single actions.
While we're on the topic of revolvers, I've got a little Cimarron here, just kind of an old single action Army clone, you know, in 45 Colt. But a lot of people will handle these guns and they'll try to figure out how to move the cylinder, okay, without knowing anything about it whatsoever. You cock the gun back twice, okay, and it allows the cylinder to rotate. That's how these guns are loaded through the port on the rear. And basically they're just single loaded. And then also the ejector rod is right here on the front of the firearm.
That's right.
So that's how you eject each spent case. But a lot of people don't realize that the firing pin on these is put in place on the hammer, unlike some of the Rugers and some of the other modern single action clones. And if you dry fire this often enough, you will damage the firing pin and the frame. So that's
not to mention, depending on the design of the gun, I mean, if it's an older design that's as true to the original, if it doesn't have any kind of a transfer bar or anything like that, the gun can be meant to discharge unintentionally if it's dropped on the hammer.
Yep.
All right, and a lot of the older Rugers, like the Blackhawks, that are like the old 3-screw guns, Ruger was actually offering like a recall service where you could send your old 3-screw Blackhawk back in, and they would install a transfer bar in it to make it drop safe.
Yep.
All right,
And,
now that's
well,
just, you know.
And two, you could actually load 6 rounds in the gun and be safe to actually carry the firearm. I mean, typically back in the day, you'd load 1, skip a chamber,
Yeah.
load the other 4.
Right.
And you would actually carry the gun on an empty cylinder because the firing pin does protrude through the frame into the cylinder area.
A lot of cowboys were killed when, you know, their revolvers would get dropped and fall on the hammer and then discharge and either kill their horse or kill them or kill someone else. You know, back then, I guess if you were a cowboy and you were hanging out and you were drunk in a bar, the last thing you wanted was for your, you know, pistol to fall on discharge and hurt somebody. So.
Yeah, either that or, you know, I mean, God forbid you might be pistol whipping somebody and bang, oops.
Yeah, exactly.
That's bound to happen probably too.
You know, this certainly isn't the whole gamut of pistols and revolvers in terms of etiquette and things that you want to handle. Although there is one more gun I want to show you guys, and this is kind of a little Easter egg for this video. This is the new Ruger LC9S. This is a striker-fired 9mm Ruger pistol, which is kind of cool. You know, this isn't really related to the video, but I thought I would show it to you guys. Brand new. We literally just got these in a few days ago, so I thought that I would show that to you. So there's a ton of different gun designs out there. So make sure that you are, becoming fluent on the design aspects. If you're going to own a certain firearm, make sure you read the manual. Make sure you take the time to learn about the firearm and know how to disassemble it properly. What tools you need to do it safely, what tools you need to do it right, and you understand what exactly is going on with each gun design, and just make yourself a smarter and more better informed gun owner in the process. So.
I may have to pick one of these up for the wife. This is a vast improvement over the old LC9.
Yep.
That was one complaint that I have, was the long trigger pull on this gun.
That's
Never could get used to it.
Very cool little trigger. It's striker fired, very reliable. I am a fan of striker fired pistols. But anyway, we could talk about guns all day, but hopefully this video pointed you in the right direction. If you didn't know about certain aspects of pistol and revolver etiquette, we feel that this is a very important subject. Again, if you guys ever have any questions or concerns, or if there's something you see that you want to ask questions about in the videos, just call us here at Moss. We'll be happy to help you. We appreciate your time today. Hopefully you learned something. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, and if you guys ever have any questions about what guns might be in stock that you saw in the video, just don't hesitate to give us a call.
We'll do what we can. Have a good one.
Take it easy.